Airline passenger rights advocate Gabor Lukacs joins us now, and thank you for being here with us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me.
So what are your thoughts on all of these new rules?
Unfortunately, they are mostly a setback for Canadian travelers. They are portrayed as the best thing, but in reality, they protect the airlines, not the passengers. When you think of tarmac delays, they talk about 3 hours on the tarmac, which is double of the 90 minutes that had been the Canadian standard since 2008. When they talk about compensation, they don't talk about a fine print, that Canadians would not be getting compensation in the vast majority of the cases, and that they will be entirely dependent on the airline's honesty in disclosing the reason that a flight was canceled, delayed, and so on and so forth. So this is not a reason to celebrate for us passengers. It is a reason to celebrate for the airlines.
Now, the transport minister is calling these changes world leading. Are they actually world leading in your opinion?
In my opinion, Canada has been and remains behind the Western world. When you compare the Canadian situation to the European gold standard of passenger protection, it's quite clear how badly we have been behind and we remain behind. Just when we are talking about flight delays and cancellations. In Europe, if an aircraft breaks down and as a result your flight is delayed or canceled, the airline will have to pay compensation to passengers. In Canada, if the airline makes an unverifiable claim that it was a maintenance issue, they will be off the hook for compensation.
And so what would you like to see? What is missing in this new rights bill?
The whole thing would need to be rewritten to conform to international standards and to the European Union's regime. In the European Union, they understood long ago that airlines have the information to prove that there were perhaps exceptional circumstances that may get them off the hook. So it shouldn't be the passengers having to prove that, and that the standard should be providing compensation with exceptional situations relieving the airlines from that obligation. In Canada, they got it all the other way around. They got it all wrong.
Now, there was significant pushback from people. There were thousands of letters written regarding this bill when it was first proposed. People didn't seem happy with it. Do you think the government would consider taking another look at it?
The government received more than 8,000 emails with respect to the last draft that came out in December, and they simply ignore the legitimate concern of the public, of travelers. They had every opportunity to fix this. We from Air Passenger Rights provided the government with a 52-page report containing 24 recommendations on how to improve the regulations. They chose to ignore it. Instead, they implemented a number of airline-friendly provisions. For example, the removal of indexation of the amount of compensation that would be possibly paid to passengers. Another number of issues in which the airlines' requests were quite listened to, but what the passengers had to say was ignored. So overall, our impression is that these are regulations that were written by the airlines for the airlines and rubber-stamped by the government. This is the reason the government is not listening. Another interesting aspect is that, as you know, a number of measures relating to flight delays and cancellations have been deferred until after the elections. And the reason, in our opinion, is that the government knows that those measures are going to cause disappointment, they're going to flop, but they don't want to take all the responsibility for the upcoming election.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's Gabor Lukacs, Air Passenger Rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.